guys, Fortune Voyager with Jackalmen Games here, along with Karma from our local Dothan Deathwatch crew.
What's up, you guys?
Alright, so this time we've actually got Karma playing on stream. She's on the left, versus one of our Tampa players that flew up with Headless Django. He's playing Millpocalypse, or Millionaires, whichever name you want to give it. So, we'll try not to go into any spoilers, but going into this match, how did you feel about your matchup versus Millpocalypse?
Well, I actually did get to play test with the deck against that deck the night before. I actually did win. It really just comes down to me playing very well for strategy as far as trying not to waste cards and things like that, trying to get the things I need to start with before he can take them out of my hand or out of my deck. So that is a big part of me and being able to keep the deck and playing the game the way I need to, because it's very crucial that I get the vehicle and stuff that I need, because that's just how the deck runs.
Very true. So we actually didn't get to talk very much about your deck before we went in, so it looks like you're playing Sienna and Beckett.
Mm-hmm.
What was the thought behind that deck, and how did you come up with it?
I had really wanted to build a fire spray deck. Like, I know this is kind of the one that was kind of floating around. I didn't net deck mine or anything. As far as character wise, I went with the pairing because at the time I couldn't come up with a better pairing that was going to work, because the characters, to me, it comes off better for character wise and vehicle wise than the Shadowcaster, because I can literally roll my characters out and still pop somebody for like 8 damage without even having a vehicle down. Right.
So your characters are there and can be used as backup if, say, somebody explodes your big deck.
Explodes my ship. Plus, I have a backup vehicle in the deck. I want to say I do get it down in this video for this game, and when I did get to play it, I want to say in this one I do, and it comes in super handy. It is a very clutch card, very clutch vehicle.
I would also just like to say that this is the battle of ketchup versus mustard.
I didn't even realize that.
Those sleeves are so, like, the perfect color.
They really are the perfect ketchup color.
All right.
And I love my yellow sleeves. Thank you.
So it looks like we only got a grand total of 2 from Millpocalypse.
I rolled 4 or 6.
So we're probably definitely going with your battlefield. All right.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll probably see 2 shields onto Anakin, if I had to guess. No. All right. 1 into Yoda, 1 into Cassian. All right. So we see immediately, which card is that?
Friends in High.
Friends in High.
Friends in Low. I'm sorry.
Friends in Low.
Because I was trying to get whatever. If I could get rid of any kind of mitigation, I was going for it. I went for the Scruffy because I knew he was going to try to go for some kind of mod or something out of my hand, because he knew what I was trying to do.
Makes sense. He does get a force jump down, which is kind of strong against single vehicle decks.
As you're watching the video, you'll understand. I was very annoyed by that die.
I'm sure. Yeah, Force Jump is the bane of my existence as a Vader player as well. So
it's very frustrating. It's such a good card, though, for 1 cost. It's so good.
After having played the game, would you have gone back to the very start of it and taken Force Jump out of his hand instead of...
Well, I couldn't, because it's only in the... Like
Friends in High
Friends in Low places events only. Yeah.
What's the one where
Scruffy is the one that lets you call.
Yeah,
I took Scruffy from him, so he couldn't take from me.
All right. Don't mind me. I don't actually know how to play this game.
No,
so Yoda rolls in. We get double Yoda special Yoda special, Force Jump special, Yoda disrupt. So it's not too bad for a first roll. And it looks like we're going to see...
Now, before we started this video, I told him don't judge me for anything. I don't remember what I was doing, but yeah, this is where I go ahead and get the fire spray out.
There we go.
So he knew everything. I was pretty much my goals of what I was trying to do. So I was just like, I'm going to do this thing, and he's like, yeah, I know what you're going to do.
Yeah. That's one downside about fat vehicle decks. When you're playing up against somebody that knows how the meta works, there's 0 surprises that you can pull on them.
Yeah.
They know what's going to happen.
Yeah, they know what to expect. His thing was he was trying to get stuff away from me that he knew I would need, which would have been my mods and things like that.
All right, so it looks like we got a resource down on Anakin.
Yep.
And let's see, what do we see you do next?
I don't remember if I think I played a mod for free.
Yeah, it looks like it, because you were looking for that power action token.
Mm-hmm.
So we get the dorsal turret down, which rolls in for free.
And
rolls into the 2 indirect.
I was very excited.
That's about the best outcome that you can hope for.
Yeah.
So he grabs that resource, probably looking to play either a big mitigation once you roll in or another upgrade. So we get the 2 indirect going down. It's going to hit his shields.
I was very determined if I could get a die rolled in like that, I wanted to resolve them to not lose them.
There's the big upgrade for this deck. It's Force Meditation, I think it's called.
Yes.
Every special discards 2 from the top of the deck. It is disgusting.
It is disgusting. And it's gross. It's even grosser because it's just spot of blue, not even blue only.
Yeah.
Like Force Jump is blue only. So it has to go on Yoda, but then the other one is like as long as Yoda's on the field, you can put that card on anybody for the Force Meditation. So.
And I mean, Force Meditation, while Yoda's on the field, as long as Yoda rolls a special, you're pretty much guaranteed to lose 4 from the top of your deck. 1 from each Yoda die, and then 1 or 2 from Force Meditation. So it's so hard to fight against.
Yeah, and that Force Jump sitting out there with that special, so rolling damage wasn't happening.
Yeah. Was that a coercion that got discarded?
Yeah. Actually, I only have 1 coercion in there.
A coercion and a TLT got discarded.
Well, it was one of my TLTs. I do run 2 of all the mods. And that was his goal. He was happy to see stuff like that go off my deck because it means I wasn't playing it.
I mean, any deck that can get rid of a TLT before it gets played is amazing because then it just leaves your fat vehicle open to mitigation.
Yep.
So
I had to think a lot playing this game to get the best use out of my dice and my cards before I lost any of them.
There we go. We see the fire spray coming in. Looks like another 2 indirect and 2 gun.
Yep. And which I mean, he has the Force Jump out.
Yeah,
so
which I was literally just about to say is probably going to start resolving specials with the Force Jump.
He was just waiting for me to...
Rolls it back into the special, of course.
It's the bane of my existence.
And honestly, because it's so good with Yoda, you can use Yoda, turn it back to the special if it doesn't roll into it. You can't resolve it twice in one action, but you'll have it sitting there just from resolving the Yoda die, which is so nice. Well, it's nice for the Yoda player, not nice for the people playing against him.
Yeah. Like, honestly, if I knew Sienna had a better chance of staying alive longer in the game itself, because everybody goes for her first, obviously, for the reset, I would probably run Tactical Mastery in the deck, but... she's so quick to die, and it's spot of red, so like once she's dead, it's like that card drops it.
And I do want to mention that that's exactly what our player on the right's doing. He used the single Yoda die and left the other one out there so that now that he's rolled a blank on his Force Jump, he can use Yoda to turn it back to the special.
Yep.
But that also means that he's not using that Yoda die to turn the Force Meditation to a special, so kind of hit or miss.
Yeah, like I'm still going to lose a card because if I have to re-roll, but... Tobias works every now and then, rolling some focus and things like that are helpful.
Right.
I do a lot of thinking in this game.
Lots of thinking.
I was just determined. I was like, I have not won on stream yet.
All right, so it looks like we're seeing
trying to go for it.
A focus from Beckett. Probably not going to focus to damage if I had to guess.
Well, I mean,
focus to the damage.
I wanted to, like, I knew I couldn't stall out only for so long with my focus and things because that Force Jump is sitting out there. So it's just, it's so hard to get around and while he's able to keep doing it.
So we get a discard from the Yoda and a turn to the Force Jump to blank the damage, and Force Jump comes out to a blank. So that gives you at least 1 turn to be able to re-roll and try and get your damage out before he re-rolls it. Which he's definitely going to do because he's got 2 cards with, or 2 die with special out there that he wants to see.
But the positive side is I have a heads up now.
Yeah, you have the extra action to get it done. So...
I pitched my by any means because it's really not helpful against that deck just because most of the dice don't go any higher than a 2.
It does look like we got some good damage, maybe a 2 ranged, a 1 ranged, a resource, and a disrupt.
Yeah, but that gave me my second resource I needed.
That's right. So you're able to get 3 damage down this turn. And he did roll double specials, which is horrible for you. But I mean, as long as he had rolled 1 special, it would have been all right.
Yeah.
At
that point, it was deciding who I wanted to get rid of off the board.
So normally versus Milpocalypse, I target Anakin first. 1, because he's such low health, and 2, because if they get Pod Racer down while Anakin's there, the game's over, basically. Yeah. But in this situation where he's got Force Jump down, I definitely would have probably dumped it into Vader, too.
Vader?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, because Vader and Yoda are the same character. I also would have dumped the damage into Yoda as well as Vader.
Well, I have learned from quite a few games, and also I just reset my fire spray with the 2 resources I had, which he's going to keep passing just because of the Force Jump. But And I was rolling hot damage, but that force jump, like I said, is the bane of my existence in this game.
Is. You've still got a card to reroll with, though, potentially.
But I've learned playing this deck that Yoda staying alive too long is too much dice turning.
Right.
And it stressed me out most of my games playing against this deck. So I learned, I was like, I'm gonna go for Yoda first because I feel like that's the best choice for me.
So we'll see here in a minute if you discard that last card to reroll. But assuming that you did, why would you have waited to discard with that force jump being out there? But were you just shaking your head? No, obviously that's not what happened.
As I remember correctly, I decided to claim because I wanted the initiative.
Right. Yeah, keeping the initiative ahead of force jump is really the best way to beat it. That way you can go ahead and get your damage out there before they can resolve it.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks like
maybe
you're discarding to reroll.
Maybe I did. And then I was upset.
To a double blank, yeah.
There was a point. I think there is a point where I choose to take initiative and claim first instead.
So I think it was kind of interesting that he passed instead of discarding to reroll the force jump. It obviously worked out into his favor because you rolled double blanks. But with him passing, if you had rolled into damage, then that force jump was just there doing nothing. So.
Yeah, I mean, he had overconfidence, which might have been the card he was holding on to.
Yeah, I'm sure. All right, so a blank on a force jump, which is great. Yoda special and a Yoda shield, but the Yoda special means that he has a live force jump. So.
Mm-hmm. And losing my mitigation doesn't help very much.
So what do you think the play is here? Do you go ahead and roll out your fire spray, or do you start with your characters?
I have power actions.
Well, power actions is good, yes. But in the grand scheme of things, do you think that you roll out fire spray first when you're facing against this particular board setup, or do you roll out your characters and slow play it?
Later games, I started rolling out Tobias first, trying to hit his special. Mm-hmm. So that way, if they weren't, it forced them to either use their money, or if I got the special, I could take their money, and I would just make more. So I tried to make him be the threat at the start of the game.
Right.
But since I got that Artcaster, I can immediately add it for free, roll in, and then re-roll a die.
Right, and it looks like you rolled in and re-rolled the Artcaster die, which ended up on a Disrupt, and you got a lot of plus damage.
Yeah, and a +3.
+2 and a +3. So we got the power action on Theed, which gives him 3 resources, which means things like Hyperspace Jump and Second Chance are live now.
Yep. But getting to play those, having that power action on that fire spray is something I love about it, because I can put a 2-cost mod on it for free and still save 2 resources for resets and things like that.
And in this specific situation, you managed to get Torso Turret down. And what is that? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 plus 7 damage?
Yep. I just needed a base side.
Yeah. It'd be nice to get 2 base sides when you roll in Beckett. That way he can only blink one of them.
Yeah.
So we do see the special Enforced Meditation, so that's guaranteed 2 cards from your deck.
Mm-hmm.
And a discard from Cassian, too.
At that point, he wasn't threatened because I didn't roll base sides, so it was just like, okay, damage, but I did roll a focus again.
Yeah, it looks like a focus and a disrupt, so he's discarding one of the cards from your hand and then one from your deck. So probably see a discard to reroll here. Because if you use the single focus, he's just going to blink it, so I probably wouldn't do that. I don't know.
And I'm down to like 2 cards already.
Right.
Which I have Sienna too, so I mean, Sienna has 1 base side on her die.
I'd either, at this point, if it was me, I'd probably roll her in as you're just doing now. That way, because you know you're going to discard to reroll, and then you have more dice in the pool to reroll and get what you need. So we're going to see 2 from your deck.
I can't remember if it was this game or another game, but I ended up rolling my dice in separate pools because I had so many to reroll. So I separated the roll.
Right.
Just because I didn't want to have a conglomerate of dice in my hands trying to roll them.
I've gotten to the point where I do that anytime I have like 3 or more dice in my hand. Just because the dice are so big, it makes it easier to make sure they get randomly rolled.
Yeah, exactly. Like I want them to actually be mixed up when I roll them. And I have small hands already. I'm a girl. So, I mean, I don't hold like 8 dice isn't very easy.
Right.
But not rolling those base sides. I was just staring at how much damage I could have done and just couldn't do it.
Just crying.
I just needed target intel in there where I could have resolved the damages. I think it's either that card or there's one that lets you resolve a die that has modifiers. Besides Legacy, I think there's another one.
So you took a resource, which means you're probably getting ready for the power action on Sienna and Beckett. So you get 3 resources now. I wonder what you got in your hand. What did he play on Anakin? I can't quite tell what that card is.
Bartering.
Bartering, gotcha.
Yeah, he didn't get pod racing, the pod racer early in the game.
Well, that's probably very good for you. That's definitely very good for you. So we got 3 resources spent.
Yeah,
for
my
the
slave one. Oh, slave one. I love it. That thing came in handy in this game.
Yeah, it allows you to re-roll a die, right?
Yeah, re-roll a yellow die, and then I can remove a die showing the same value.
Gotcha.
So I can power action re-roll a die to try to get some base damage or something like that, and then remove one of my opponent's dice if it has the same value, which is very nice.
Or even if you get a blank on the re-roll, you can remove any of his specials.
Yep. So. Which I want to say I did manage to do.
All right, it looks like you just took a damage onto Anakin.
All the dice.
And you rolled in slave 1 for a blank.
I did.
Do you have a single card left in your hand?
I do.
He has no discard showing, so he's definitely, or you're definitely going to discard to reroll. See if you can't get some use out of what's on the board here.
I used a lot of tokens. I borrowed one of his power action tokens because I had so many power actions going on. So I hit a blank, so I removed the special because he left it out there, and I was just like, that's gone. I'm going to get rid of it. It's the best move I could have made at that time.
He discards a second chance, which is actually pretty big, and he rolls a blank on the force jump.
Like my face, I didn't show it on my face when I saw him discard that, but in my body I was internally screaming because he threw that away.
He must have 3 really good cards. I think I just saw briefly a hyperspace jump, but the other 2 cards must be super important for him to have dumped a second chance.
Yeah, I was freaking out that he actually pitched that because that was crazy. Like I hadn't done very much damage at this point, obviously, but for me to have so many dice in the pool and him to be willing to throw that, I guess maybe because I was targeting Yoda and he felt like, okay, maybe it'll be all right. But
Fat vehicle decks just dump damage at like no sign of anything. There's just one turn you'll have no damage and the next turn you're dead. So it's kind of risky, but we'll see how it plays out.
But like I said, I do think a lot in this game because I was determined to try to have the best strategy I could.
So he doesn't have any mitigation showing on the board currently, so it looks like you're probably going to focus to a base side here to try and resolve some of that modifier.
Yeah, I hit the one. Yeah, I went for the one with Sienna because it was a complete modified damage.
And that'll put you at 8 on the board, and we see a pacify to get rid of that die. So now probably a discard to reroll because I don't think you have any other way to resolve the die on the board.
No, I have 2 disrupt showing on dice, and then all that base or all that modified damage.
I'll just claim and leave them all out there. You know, no big deal.
Ugh, I thought. I mean, I knew I needed to do something, but
that card in your hand must be very important for this thought.
I really, honestly wish I could remember what was in my hand at the time.
As a Vader player, I've gotten so used to just dumping everything in my hand every turn, like it's not even a question anymore. Oh, I got a discard to reroll. All right, let's do it.
I think my big thing is just getting rid of one more card when I was playing against a mill deck. It's just like, and then once I pitched, that was it. I mean, I was stuck with whatever I rolled unless I got focus or something.
All right, so it looks like you're leaving the 2+2s out there, re-rolling the rest. And you did get...
I did get base sides.
Quite a few base sides.
And I got 3 indirect, 2 range plus another 2 modifiers, so I rolled like 10 damage.
Right. I think that you have to pay for that range side, and you don't have any...
and then there was the other second chance.
So that was one of the other cards in his hand.
Yeah, it was all modified. Well, it was all where I could resolve.
It might just be the camera playing tricks, but it looks like that's for 1 on the...
No, it was a straight 1-shot kill on Yoda.
No, I'm talking about on the indirect.
Oh, yeah, that is a 3-for-1, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I took Yoda out 1 shot, and it made me feel pretty good. I got the force jump off the table.
Anytime you can 1-shot a character, you're good to go.
Yeah.
And force jump, like you just said, is gone, which is really important. Yoda's guaranteed 2 discarded turns gone, which is really important. We do have a lot of defense down on the side with second chance and force illusion down now. But all of the consistency that is Yoda is gone. So.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I wanted to get Yoda off the table, because he makes everything easier to turn your dice and fix them where you want them.
And it looks like you even got to claim that round, too.
I did. I mean, I had no money. I couldn't resolve my dice. I couldn't reroll, so there was no point in me trying to do anything else. I couldn't do anything else. And at this point, I'm way beyond, like, more than half my deck.
And we're at, what's the round of Destiny, 35?
35, yeah.
So we are past the halfway point in the timer as well.
Which we started a little bit after the timer went, but I think we went a little past it, too.
We got what looks like a 2 damage showing on Beckett, and we got the friends coming down. Oof.
I had a crazy hand.
Yeah.
Most of them weren't useless. The 2 armor platings are pretty much useless, though. So those were just reroll bait.
Right. He did get rid of the Nature's Charm, a.k.a. the horrible... I was trying to make a joke about porgs, but...
My porg card. I literally put cards like that in the deck because of decks like this that don't roll damage. So that makes it where I can try to reroll their dice at least.
Right.
If anything. So
Anakin comes in with a blank and a discard.
The discards are my natural enemy when I need to reroll.
Trust me, I understand that more than you can imagine.
I know. I really feel like I should have rolled the fire spray in first on that round instead of waiting because I had it set up with everything it needed. Except maybe having a TLT on it, but...
Right. Probably wouldn't have been a horrible choice.
Normally that's my reaction when I'm playing like a reset deck or anything. Like even with Shadowcaster, once I had it loaded up, my first initial thing was to go ahead and get it in the pool.
Yeah, get Shadowcaster out there, resolve its die before they can do anything about it. Mm-hmm. So he did hit your well-connected, which is pretty important for your resource generation.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of pay sides on the board, which means that you're going to be using up that 2 resources to pay for damage instead of reset. So it's always good to have a way to gain another resource in your hand. So Slave 1 comes in. Looks like it rolled a resource, which is good. You've got 2 resources on the board showing now with Sienna, so you're pretty much good to go.
Plus, I still have Tobias's power action, Theed power action.
Yeah.
So I still had a way to make $2 more at least, and that he had no way of actually stopping.
All right, so we see Entangle come down to get rid of both of the dice on Cassian, which is super important. It gets rid of basically a guaranteed 3 mil from your deck.
It pretty much just shut down most of his turn at that point when I took those dice out of the pool, which is what I was trying to go for. So that way it kind of cut him off from being able to mill a bunch of cards for me this turn.
So he discards the Force Jump to try and get something on the bartering die, and it looks like he got a resource.
A modified resource.
Modified reside.
Yeah, you know.
All right, so Fire Spray comes in.
4 indirect, 1 base side, a discard, and a disrupt.
All right, and like you were saying earlier, you've got lots of ways to gain money.
Because that's a 4-for-1, which I have a way to make it. I hate giving my opponent money, but Theed lets me get $1 without giving them anything. So.
Right, and we did get the special on bartering. Looks
yeah,
like
there was a glare. There was a glare on the discard.
Yeah.
And so every time he pitched to, or he put a card in the discard, I had to lean to see. So I just said something about it, and he didn't mind swapping around. But then he accidentally put his discard on his deck. I was like, I'm sorry, but
right there.
I used my
So Easy Pickings just got discarded from his hand.
I used the dorsal turret to pitch a card from his hand.
Nice, very good call. You got rid of a pretty big mitigation for you.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to go for. Either any mitigation from his hand. That way, and also keeping him from re-rolling too and stuff like that.
I think he would still have the hyperspace from earlier in his hand, so we might see that dropping down here soon.
Yeah, I really feel like hyperspace should have been spot yellow.
I think there's a lot of cards from the early sets that should have been spot.
Should have been spot. Yes,
or
I
play
agree.
only on, like Force Illusion.
Yes, and I hit the 3-for-1 on Tobias.
And there's the hyperspace.
And the hyperspace, yes. And he
And
did
he's swapping
change the
out his
battlefield, which
battlefield.
I was okay at the time because I controlled it.
Right.
And at that point, I really wasn't playing any more upgrades, anyways. Don't ask me why I did that. I didn't think about what I did.
Okay.
I immediately picked up my card. I was like, why am I picking up my cards? We're not done.
As long as you immediately realized what you did.
I did immediately realize what I did.
All right. So we're going on into the next round.
The hyperspace completely threw me off, and he changed the battlefield on me.
You didn't manage to get, I think, any damage down that round.
No, I had all my dice in the pool, and he cut that off pretty quick.
He got rid of, I think, at least 2 cards from your hand.
Yeah, I think the Well Connect, I used the Entangle.
Right. So, all in all, he came out a little bit ahead in that round, but it wasn't a massive win for either side.
No, he only really got to remove 2 cards from hand, and that was about it.
Right.
Because I shut his dice down with my Entangled. I hit double focus.
Good old Beckett doing his Beckett things.
Yes. Because I knew one Easy Pickings was gone, but I mean, it didn't mean he couldn't have got another one. But usually, if somebody has it, they're gonna play it immediately if they can.
And there's Anakin's Pod Racer.
Yes.
So at least in my mind, Anakin immediately becomes the target. He needs to die immediately.
Yeah. He made it a little more complicated because he has the Force Illusion and everything down.
Right, but also Cassian has second chance. So I don't know. It looks like we got a shield from
I'm
the
gonna hit the
Pod
2
Racer.
shield side. I had discard 2 blanks and one range.
And we get another Friends and Low. Get rid of that pin down.
Yeah. I was still holding on to cards, even if they're not useful. But I didn't want to pitch any cards because he was eating through my deck at this point.
You can't pitch any cards against Mill.
No.
You can't pitch them at the end of the round. You can still pitch a few cards here and there to re-roll, but getting rid of them at the end of the round is a horrible idea.
I was either using them for mitigation or pitching to re-roll. But as far as getting rid of, because they were useless, I think I had maybe a couple of cards left in my deck at this point, maybe 2 or 3.
It's like when you're an aggro deck going up against Mill and you pull Force Illusion in your hand. You let it sit there. Just hope that that's the one that they pull when they discard you.
Yep, exactly.
As one of my opponents, I think it was the guy who was playing Leia Yoda, he pulled Force Illusion from my hand and he just looked at it and went, well, that's not what I want to see.
Yeah, I hadn't brought up the fact that he played the Pod Racer, and I thought about it after a second. By the time it was my turn, I remembered he should have actually milled a card for the Occupied City. And he was like, I did, and he showed me the card because I didn't realize he had done it.
Well, good on him for
actually,
doing his own
actually doing his own thing from his battlefield, because a lot of people wouldn't have done it if the other person didn't say
anything. That's actually one of the big things that I miss a lot whenever my opponent's playing on the Occupied City. Whenever I'm in control of it, I just completely forget that it's even a thing.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not a battlefield I would play unless I was playing Mill. So, right. I mean, it's a thing easily forgotten, but he was good enough to actually do it without me saying anything.
So in other news, we saw Anakin roll in for a discard and a focus on bartering, and the Anakin used Pod Racer's ability to turn it to a discard as well.
Yep.
So I think you're already down a card from your hand, if not 2.
Yeah, the pin down.
Yeah, the pin down, and he's got 2 more showing. So you're going to be running real low on resources here in just a moment.
That was almost every turn at this point.
Right. We do see a focus from Beckett come in to give you a discard.
A double discard, yes. I was trying to hit his hand as well.
Right. Try and get rid of his mitigation or his hyperspace would be nice.
Yeah, because I only lost 1 card at this point.
And
he took 3 because of Anakin's Pod Racer having the ability to spot Anakin. So I was like, you know what, I'll lose 3. I'm going to make you lose 2. And so I was like, you keep this one.
Bam. Got rid of his Beguile and the Maz's goggles.
He only had 1 resource, but any mitigation gone is good for me at this point.
Right.
Because Fire Spray hasn't come back in yet.
And there's the discard to get rid of the last card in your hand. So do you let him use it or do you discard?
I wish I remember what I had in my hand at this point.
It looks like you're going to use the power action to try and get rid of that discard. So you're going to re-roll the mod.
He has double focus, but...
And you get rid of it. Yep. So you get to keep that card in your hand for at least a turn. We get a focus to the special, so the card in your hand is safe.
My poor deck is not safe, though. That power action, though, I'm telling you, that Slave one, I added it in mostly because, one, it's only a 3 cost, and that power action is just amazing. I just love it. Like, I feel like a DJ deck should run that in it.
Sienna rolls in for a resource and a blank. And 2 cards from the top of your deck are gone. It looks like you only have a card left in your deck. A card,
yes. And hit my partnerships.
So honestly, we're down to about 8 minutes left on the clock. You've only got 2 cards total left, 1 in deck, 1 in hand. If I were you, I'd just be sitting here going, well, this isn't looking too good.
Well, I mean, that 3
indirect, which is nice.
Yeah, for 1. I mean, I still haven't power actioned off of Tobias, so... and I still haven't re-rolled Fire Spray at this point.
Yeah. That, the hyperspace jump last turn was honestly killer. It just turned off your entire turn.
It was a big play, yeah. So, I was able to shut him down on a turn. He shut me down on a turn. But I was able to use the focus to get to some damage that's resolvable without giving him resources. Because I don't know the other card in his hand.
Looks like we're going to go to 3 indirect, maybe?
Oops. Yeah, you know. And I went to the range.
The 3 range. Makes better sense.
Because at this point, he's already used all his dice.
Right.
And I still had to go through the Force Illusion.
So he passes and lets you deal 3 damage to Anakin, taking him to 5. He's still got the Force Illusion. And he claims. So he's got nothing left to do. And you've got a whole roll in on your Fire Spray.
Yep, plus 1 card in hand still. So at that point, when my opponent claims, I feel a lot better about using my power action on Tobias to get the money I need, so then I don't have to worry about them.
Very true.
And I just resolve the Artcaster literally just to get the die back in to reroll it.
That's right. It saves you having to discard to reroll.
Yeah, exactly.
But you got 2 blanks. Discard.
No idea how bad that hurts.
And,
to watch
disrupt.
those dice roll terrible.
So you didn't get any damage on that, so probably have to discard here.
Oh, I did. I literally went into that last round with the 1 card in my hand.
Yeah, I mean, going into it with 1 card is still...
Yeah, I mean, it gave me 1 more round either way because he had nothing to get rid of it from me.
Right.
Because I knew I could resolve the slave one because I could power action into it.
All right, so we get the discard, pretty much everything, but the 3-for-1 is gone.
And I just broke it down into 2 rolls.
And it looks like we got some base damage there, a 1, a 1, and a 1?
Yeah, it was a bunch of 1s. So basically at that point, Anakin was going to die even with the Force Illusion because I could hit him for the damage I needed and then hit him again.
All right, so you Beckett power actioned. Both gained a resource.
Because at this point I have, I think, +3, a 1, a 1, a 1, and a 1, and a 4 for 1.
Yeah, 4 for 1, yeah.
Had some crazy little damages going on. So, I mean, I went with the indirect at first to see what he was going to do with it.
Bold move there.
I mean, I was going to resolve all the damage regardless, and there was nothing he could do other than have the second chance and the Force Illusion.
Right.
But I wanted to see where he was going to put it to see how he would try to work with it.
Right.
Because, I mean, if he popped it on the Force Illusion, then I would do 2 damage to Anakin either way, and then another, like, 3 or 4 to Cassian.
2 to Anakin, and then 3, 4, 5 to Cassian, 6, 7, 8, taking him to 8.
Yeah, which I think he misplayed the way he did it, because I did 1 damage, and he forced him to do the Force Illusion, and he was like, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Because it literally made him use it for 1 damage to keep him alive, and then I just did 1 more again.
Anakin to kill him, which allows
5 damage into Cassian.
5 more damage into Cassian, yep.
Which was 2 away from actually popping the second chance.
So that's not too bad. You still have a lot of room to...
And I disrupted in one of his dollars, which is, for me, not a bad thing because he still had another hyperspace.
That's very true.
And I got my last card in my hand.
Hyperspace going into the last round
is stressful when you have 1 card left.
Yeah. Because all that he has to do is get rid of 1 and then drop hyperspace and he's good to go.
No, just watch the pod racer work its magic.
Yeah, I will. So he claimed, so probably roll in pod racer first.
I mean, even he was almost milled out at this point. I think he had 3 cards left in deck, and it naturally rolls the discard. This was a very stressful round for me.
So you knew the round was ending. Either he has a hyperspace jump in his hand and can use it, or you have some way... Well, I guess he still has 2 cards left in deck, so he could be unlucky and have hyperspace still be in his deck. I don't know. Let's see what happens.
I can't remember if he had it or if he... I don't think he did, because I think he was just checking his deck to see how much he had left.
Does Beckett have Disrupt on his sides?
He does.
Okay.
And I rolled double focus, which,
And
I mean,
he
he discarded my last card, which was my TLT. Way at the bottom.
All the way at the bottom.
Very saddening. So I knew I had to win this round or I lost, and there was nothing... I mean, that's all I could do was win this round, and that was it.
It looks like you did get some good damage from the slave one. I think it's enough. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. What does Beckett have? 10 health or 11?
Beckett has 11.
And there's a Force Illusion. Oof.
You have no idea how stressful this game was for me.
Yeah. So we get the 2 damage down, which is going to be popped on Force Illusion. Gets rid of
forced him to do it because it would have popped the
motive.
second chance had he not done it. So I was like, you know what? I'll just go ahead and push him into it.
Yeah. I don't know. I would have kept the Force Illusion. You have a lot bigger sides than a 2. But I don't know.
Well, my biggest thing was I had no cards at all, period.
Right.
So I was at a crunch time where I had to do what I had to do to stay in the game, to try to win if I could win.
Right. But on his side, if he would have popped the Force Illusion, or not the Force Illusion, the second chance
instead,
he would have 5 health and Force Illusion for your bigger die.
Well, I mean, I think the most he would have been able to mitigate for it was 4 damage.
Well, I mean...
Because he only had 4 cards left.
+2, +2, +2 on a base side.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's true. He would have... That wouldn't have
worked
in his favor.
I basically God rolled into a lot of indirect.
That is a crap ton of damage.
Which was just straight damage. It wasn't even indirect at this point. He garbage shooted Cassian. And I was like, you know what? He doesn't roll him in, which was fine. I mean, he had nothing else to get rid of him from me.
He doesn't need to roll him in.
Yeah, he didn't need to roll him in. He just needed to stay alive.
Yeah.
Had he had the hyperspace, I would have lost at the beginning of the turn after he took my 1 card from me.
Right.
But,
so we see the damage come to pop second chance.
Yep. So I was like, I need 5 damage at this point. That's all I need.
And what was that, a discard?
Yeah. I went for any other chance of him having some kind of mitigation.
All right, and you still have the 2
And I could do
focuses.
a reset again, which I did.
Oh,
Because
you
I
got
had to have
reset,
the
that's
reset
right.
again.
Yep.
I mean, once my fire spray set up, my money's there for resets and damage pay.
Right.
So I literally had my option left at that point was to re-roll and hope for damage and that I can work with.
All right, so you re-rolled.
I power actioned with the
Power
slave
action
one
to re-roll.
to try to get something out of it.
You got the disrupt
Yep.
to make sure if he has any type of mitigation in his hand that he can't use it.
Yep.
Are you guys editing or recording?
Recording.
Right now. Oh.
All right, and we got a blank, and we got a lot of damage showing, so that's what you
and
need.
I had a base side. I had nothing but straight damage. All I needed was 5, and I rolled, I think, 7. It was all modified by 1 die, but
Right.
and I had a focus too. So if he had a way to mitigate that, unless he messed with the focus, I could just focus back again.
Right.
But that's all I had to rely on at that point. I had nothing else to rely on.
All right, well, it looks like he's got a hidden motive.
I let him look at the card to see what he wanted to call.
Probably going to call ranged.
I mean, at that point, I hit, which he called range, and I hit the indirect, and I still hadn't to buy his power action yet, so I could still get the money I
that's
needed.
pretty much game unless he's got more mitigation in his hand.
Yeah, that put him at 8. And then I power action for the other damage I needed.
And there it is. Good game.
It was such a stressful game. You don't have any idea how happy I was.
There's the fist
Steven,
bump from
Steven for
Steven.
the fist
Yeah.
bump.
All right, so yeah, that was incredibly stressful. You looked like you were negative the entire game almost. The hyperspace jump really hurt, but you managed to pull it out in the end, so I'd definitely be proud of that.
I was very happy with that win. I'm not gonna lie. I put in work. That's all I can say. I put
There
in
you
work.
go. All right, guys. Well, that was the end of round 2, and it literally ended like right at time too, so it was
Yes.
perfect. We'll see you all for the next round.